name is Lara Randhawa.
My name is Clara Nguyen.
My name is Betsy Ramirez.
And my name is Amelia Lieu.
Our performance is about breaking down the barrier of child marriage with the Sarda Act of 1929. Before 1929, in British colonial India, child marriage, also known as Sarda, took place at the earliest age of an infant. This was a common traditional practice among many religions, including Buddhists, Sikhs, Muslims, and Hindus. Young brides were taken advantage of, made child widows by the deaths of their grown male husbands, and experienced early deaths due to childbirth. Generations of Indian girls were married off before the age of 18. As mothers were married as children, they learned to listen to their husbands and obey them always. India was a male-dominated country. Many mothers did not want their daughters to be married off, as they were, but fathers married their daughters off for the money given to them as a bride price. Fathers were paid to give away their daughters. So, many mothers had to obey their husbands and prepare their daughters for an early marriage.
Mama, I don't want to go. I just want to stay here.
I know, we've already had this conversation. I don't want you to go either, but you must. Your father's already set the marriage and paid the bride price.
No, why don't you understand? I'm not going to go. I don't want to live with him.
I know, but you must. But I'll try to bring you home for visits whenever I can. But for now, we have to listen to your father. Come on, Lara, we should get going. We're going to be late.
In 1927, ties turned the tide with child marriage. An Indian judge by the name of Rao Sahib Sarda wrote the Child Marriage Act, or the Sarda Act, a stepping stone that broke the barrier of child marriage. Sarda successfully passed and promoted his bill on the Legislative Court of India, but it probably would not have happened without the support of the Young Indian Women Committee groups, whose grassroots campaign was vital in breaking down the barrier of political freedom, independent thought, and most importantly, the power to grow and succeed.
It's done, finally. This document, the Child Marriage Restraint Act, will help end the evils of Sarda and help all youth, even girls, to get an education and live a life without fear of early widowhood and death. I will take this to the Court of India to pass the act.
One of the Young Women Committee groups that helped Sarda in his campaign was called the All Indian Women's Committee, or the AIWC. The AIWC was headed by an Irish woman named Margaret Cousins. Cousins moved to India from London in 1915 with her husband, as he worked for the newspaper New India. When Cousins lived in London, she was a suffragist and campaigned tirelessly for the rights of women. After her move to India, she began the AIWC Women's League, where she shared her passion for women's rights. Cousins was concerned about the ongoing practice of child marriage in India at that time. In 1921, over 10 million girls were married off, between the ages 10 and 15. To Cousins, this was completely unacceptable. When Cousins addressed the issue to the AIWC members, she said that banning child marriage would need self-determination.
Religion, education, patriotism, and love are the four liberators of women. More and more, the whole world is starting to realize the right and necessity of liberating women from every country, but along different lines according to different civilizations. Child marriage is unknown to the British, but a man by the name of Sahib Sarda has written an act to ban Sarda for girls under 14 and boys under 16 to prevent early deaths and widowhood. We can help Mr. Sarda in his rightful campaign. We will fight for the end of Sarda.
Yes, yes!
Mr. Sarda could not have written an act to end child marriage without the support of the AIWC. The AIWC used many strategies to promote legislative advocacy and end child marriage. They started out as a committee of roughly 2,000 members in 1927, but quickly grew to over 5,000 members in the year before the Sarda Act was written. To break the barrier of child marriage, the AIWC lobbied many influential leaders in the Indian government for support and led protest meetings. They rallied against political judges who opposed the act and screamed insults at them like, "If you oppose Sarda's bill, the world will laugh at you." The AIWC used this to make the opposition feel ashamed and wonder how they would be viewed by the world. The AIWC also sent their 5,000 members around the 500 native states in India to set up educational meetings and train local members in leadership for further social reform. Essentially, the AIWC used a grassroots campaign and went to the places where child marriage occurred most often, rural Indian homes. To convince rural families that the practice they had adopted to was inhumane, the AIWC created pamphlets and flyers and distributed them to the people. Hello, ma'am. We are the AIWC, and we are working to end child marriage. There is nothing more important than giving freedom and a chance for education to young minds. Don't you agree?
Yes.
This pamphlet states our mission, and you are welcome to take one.
Hello, ma'am. The AIWC and Advocates for Women's Rights are trying to gather supporters for our fight against Sarda. Would you like to read a pamphlet and possibly join?
Of course.
Through the AIWC, many Indians, even male, joined the cause to end child marriage. As the AIWC gathered momentous public support for Sarda, they decided to take it a step further. Margaret Cousins convinced Mahatma Gandhi, a leader with growing popularity, to speak out against child marriage and its evils.
I have no hesitation to repeat the advice that if there are students that want to be married, they will be performing an act of charity towards the girls of India to seek out child widows when they have outgrown their childhood, and they will be doing a service to their country if they make up their minds to end child widowhood by refusing child marriage. I do not hold that anything ancient is good because it is ancient. I do not surrender, and God and moves in faculty in the face of ancient tradition. Any tradition, however ancient and inconsistent with morality, is fit to be banished from the land. The institution of child widowhood and child marriage may be considered to be an ancient tradition, but even so, an ancient horrible belief and superstitious practice. I would sweep them out of existence if I had the power. For therefore, you now know what I mean, and it is because I see the same God in the Bhagavad Gita as I see in the Bible and the Quran.
Another young woman committee group that helped break the barrier of child marriage was called the Women's Indian Association, or the WIA. The WIA owned a newspaper called Sri Dharma that expressed their views from Sarda to women's rights. They too supported Sarda's bill and tried to gather supporters. Margaret Cousins was also the editor for Sri Dharma. Through Dharma, the WIA helped empower Sarda's cause by spreading information far and wide and helping the ordinary public decide that it was time to end child marriage.
Did you read this? How long can we keep harming young children?
I was married as a child. We shouldn't let this happen to other children.
Soon, the WIA and the AIWC had gathered thousands of supporters, voicing against Bala, a newspaper that threw insults at Sarda's bill. Furthermore, Muslim Orthodox women believed Sarda was sacred, as their religious beliefs follow the Prophet Muhammad, who married a 9-year-old girl named Aisha. The Muslims gathered in severe protest, hoping to stop the bill from passing, but were unsuccessful. The women's group's efforts prevailed, as Sarda's bill became an official act on the 28th of September, 1929, freeing all children from the shackles of marrying young, and therefore breaking down the barrier of child marriage.
This bill by Ross and Heap Sarda is now officially the Child Marriage Restraint Act of 1929.
The Sarda Act laid the foundation for other future child marriage acts that ended in a ban for marriage for children under 18 years of age. This landmark act broke the barrier for them, allowing children, especially girls, to be educated. The courageous work and determined stance that many young Indian women committees took head-on enabled the passage of the Sarda Act, helping revise India's old traditional ways and bringing in the start of a new way of living, one that provided hope for the future young minds to have political freedom, independent thought, and most importantly, the power to grow and succeed.
Thank you, and this concludes our performance.